So every time I ask you guys, or I do a poll here on the YouTube channel, and I ask you, what is your biggest challenge? I do this at the end of every single year. And last year, it was the same as the year before and the year before that. And it is always the same answer: not enough leads, over and over and over again. And we're going to figure out, like, we are finally going to solve this problem so that by the end of this video, that, and I don't know if one of you, if you're watching this video and you're one of the people who's voting like not enough leads, but if it is, or if you're just watching this video and in fact this is also your biggest problem, why you're not reaching your income goal, your income potential, we are finally going to solve this thing. At the end of this video, by the end of this video, that will no longer be the issue for you. Leads, getting enough opportunities is no longer going to be your problem. And so this is by far, in a way, the biggest issue I see with the agents in our industry. Now, when we look at the next biggest problem, I just posted this inside of my free course community, and I asked people inside of this community, what is your biggest challenge outside of leads? And no surprise, it's being consistent with whatever lead generation thing that they're doing. And so these two problems go hand in hand. And so if you're not already, if you don't already have access to the free course and the free course community, I'll put a link in the description. You can grab that. It's the Listing Agent Blueprint. It's where I show you exactly how to build a six-figure listing agent business step by step. You can grab access to that right now. So here's what we're going to solve in this video. Number one, I'm going to show you exactly how to get more leads than you can handle, so that, again, the lead problem is never an issue again. And then number two, we're going to solve the other issue of like being consistent inside of your lead generation. So we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you how we can trick your brain so that you never miss a day of lead generation again. Really, the hack's going to be, how do you become consistent at everything in your life? How do you trick your brain into loving doing what you think is hard right now? We're going to solve both of those in this video. All right, so let's just get really, really brutally honest in this video. And I think if you are being honest, that you will agree with this. And that is that if you're not making enough money, you don't have enough clients, you're not where you want to be, you're not making enough money, you're not making the money you desire, it's simply because you just don't talk to enough people every day. In other words, if somebody was to follow you around with a stopwatch and clock you every time you're actually proactively talking to people about buying and selling real estate, how much time would they clock for you every day, every week, every month? And if your family members followed you around, right? So you go off to work, and if your family members went to go and shadow you for a day, for a week, for a month, would they be proud of what they saw, or would they be disappointed? Would they be shocked to see, holy crap, I can't believe how hard you work every day? Or would they say, well, this is what you're doing? When you left the home, we thought, I don't know, I mean, not to be mean, but we kind of thought you were doing something else to grow your business. And, it's not funny, but the reality is most agents are waiting around. They're doing everything but talking to people every day about buying and selling real estate. Anything. They're hanging out around the water cooler. They're going to Starbucks. They're going to, the broker open. They're going to, I don't know, the broker training. They're messing around on social media. They're doing TikTok dances. I don't know. But what I do know is this, that the agents that are succeeding at the highest level spend 80% of their time doing one of three tasks. One, talking to people about meeting. Two, following up with those people to set a meeting. And three, meeting with those people, talking about being their agent. And I know that agents that are struggling spend 80, 90% of their time doing God knows what but they're not talking to people. And here's the other reality. The reality is that we know that the number of people you talk with daily equals the number of homes you sell annually. Let me show you exactly what I mean. All right, so your success lives in the numbers. So this will be really critical for you to understand when it comes to client acquisition. And here's what we know. These are averages. All right. So depending on skill level and experience, these are averages. These are the averages I've taken from the last 6,000 agents that I've coached over the last 7 years. So these are just averages, people that are brand new, experienced, et cetera. So on average, to get one closed transaction, it usually takes about 1.5 listings to sell one listing. Or, in other words, about 70%, so 7 out of 10 listings that you take end up at a closing table. Why? Because the other 30% or 3 out of 10, maybe the seller decides not to sell, maybe you fail to sell the home, or just some type of life event and they have to cancel the listing for whatever reason. Now, we also know that on average, to get one listing, it's usually going to take you going on 2 listing appointments. It's you having a 50% conversion. So you meet with 10 people. On average, you'll probably get 5 of them to say, yes, I would like you to be my listing agent and hire you, depending on how compelling your listing presentation, who you're meeting with, etc. We also know that on average, in order to go on one listing appointment, you probably have to set 2. So that's about a 50% conversion. Why? Because if you've been doing this for any length of time, you know that a lot of people that you set appointments with cancel. They ghost you. They don't show up. Or you may find yourself wanting to cancel the appointment because of lack of prospect motivation. We also know to set one of these appointments, on average, you need about 5 leads inside of your pipeline. By leads, I'm referring to people you've talked to in the past who had clear motivation to sell their home, and they did not have a real estate agent to help them make the move for the day when the day comes when they want to make the move. All right. So that's what I mean by lead. So you need about 5 of those inside of your database in order to set one appointment. And then we know to get one of those leads, you have to talk with 10 people on average. So if you talk to 10 people, you should be able to generate one lead. 5 of those leads would get you 1 appointment set, 2 appointments set, get you 1 appointment met, 2 appointments met, get you 1 listing taken, 1.5 listings taken, get you 1 closing. Now, the assumptions in this conversation, or in this video rather, is that you're a full-time agent working 260 days per year. All right. The average sales price, again, this can be whatever your average sales price is, but the assumption is that we're going to use 400,000 in this video. And the average commission when this agent sells a house is $10,000. Now, if your numbers are different, just plug these in and I'm going to show you exactly what this looks like. All right. So to earn, we'll just call it $100,000 in income. So to be a 6-figure income earner, based on the numbers we just walked through, here's exactly what it would look like. If your average commission was $10,000, obviously you'd have to sell 10 homes, right? $100,000 divided by 12, divided by actually 10K. If I didn't change that, I know the analyticals would go crazy watching this video. The numbers are wrong. So there you go. All right. Sell 10 homes, $100,000 divided by $10,000 commission. You have to sell 10 houses, right? That only makes sense. In order to sell those 10 homes, it means that you have to get 14 listings, because we know 70% of those listings will actually sell, which is 10. In order to get those 14 listings, you're going to have to go on 28 listing appointments. We know that half of those will turn into listings, right? So that 14 is half of 28. In order to go on 28 of those appointments, you're going to have to set 56 appointments, which is 50%. And in order to set those appointments, you're going to have to get at least 280 leads, right? 20% of those will turn into listing appointments. This is over the course of 12 months. In order to get 280 leads, remember, a lead is somebody who verbalizes their motivation for actually wanting to move. They give you specific reasons why they want to move. They have specific timelines when they want to move. and they do not have an agent who is representing them for when the time comes for them to make the move. And so, therefore, they've told you that, hey, when the time comes, we will sit down with you, we will meet with you, we will interview you. So, in order to get 280 of those, you're going to have to speak with, on average, about 2,800 people. Now, before you faint, before you turn off the video, let me explain how simple this is, right? So 10% will turn into those leads. Now, here's the magic. Stick with me on this. This is how this works. If you need 2,800 conversations and you divide that by 260 working days, what do you get? What do you get when you do the math? It's 10. Well, why is that so magical? Because remember, we said this goal to earn $100,000 is meant you had to sell 10 homes. And remember at the beginning of the video, I said that the number of people you speak to daily will represent the number of homes you sell annually. And then when we look at the average numbers, it is 100% spot on. That if you do the math and you plug in all these numbers for yourself, you're going to find that the number of people you need to talk to every day will equal the number of homes you want to sell annually based on your income goal. So if you want to sell 10 houses, you've got to talk to 10 people a day. If you want to sell 20 houses a year, you got to talk to 20 people a day. So on and so forth. Now, the big question that you probably have, like everybody else, is okay, fine. If that's what the numbers say, Brandon, I'll believe you. But where in the world am I going to find 10, 20, 30 people to talk to, new people every single day? Where am I going to find these people to talk to about buying and selling real estate? Well, let's answer that question. So the assumption with your lead generation model, as it pertains to this video, is that you don't have any money, you don't have a ton of money to go out there and spend on advertising and mass marketing. You don't have a large sphere of influence to rely on. In other words, you don't have a lot of friends and family calling you every day to do business with you. You don't have this big book of business of past clients that keep coming back to you to buy and sell other homes. And you don't have a lot of inbound referrals yet. So with that assumption, that is how we're going to figure out how we're going to have enough conversations every day to get enough leads that we need. So the lead generation strategy has to have three things. Number one, we're going to prospect, we're going to go after people that you don't know. We just talked about you don't have as big sphere of influence to rely on. So we have to figure out, how do we generate business from people we don't know, right? That's the challenge of our business. Number two, it needs to either be free or super, super affordable, because you probably don't have a ton of money to pour into marketing and advertising. And then number three, it has to be targeted. In other words, you can't just go up to 10 people at your grocery store every day and say, hey, do you want to buy or sell real estate? I mean, can it work? Maybe. But there's certainly a better way, that if you target the group of people that you're going to communicate with, it's the likelihood of them actually buying and selling a house is much, much more likely. So when I say targeted, I'm talking about, we're not going to just have this shotgun approach. We're going to go after a specific targeted group of people who, again, we know have a high likelihood that they are going to buy or sell a house within the next 6 to 12 months. All right, so first, let's solve the question. We talked about the what, let's talk about the who. So when it comes to lead generation, there are three parts of your pipeline, or three parts of your sales funnel. There is the top of funnel, the middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. My recommendation is that you have a lead generation model that has some diversification inside of it, and it is well diversified, so that regardless of market conditions, regardless of home prices, regardless of who the president is, regardless of interest rates, your business doesn't have to be dependent based on current market conditions, but it's a business model that is market proof. So here's what I mean by that. My recommendation, remember, we need 10 conversations per day. My recommendation is that you split your contact distribution inside of three parts of the funnel. 3 conversations with data sets or demographics in the top of funnel, 3 conversations with people in the middle of the funnel, and 4 conversations with people at the bottom of the funnel. So that's 10 conversations, yeah? So what do I mean by top of funnel? Top of funnel are people that maybe are looking to buy or sell a home, but not right away. They're usually somewhere between, 6 and 12 months down the road. But the upside is there's very, very little competition. So these would be people like downsizers. These are people that are of retirement age, that live in homes that are typically free and clear, and typically are in homes that are larger than the average size home in your market. These are people that raised kids, now they're empty nesters. So when I say downsizers, and there's all kinds of reports that says that this is where the biggest opportunity of new inventory is going to come from in the next 3 to 5 years, are all these baby boomers that are getting ready to retire and looking to downsize. All right. Another example could be just listed or just sold. So maybe you're going to target a neighborhood that had a property that just recently went up on the market or recently just sold. And then because what we know is that every time a home goes up or comes off the market, it's like monkey see, monkey do. Other people want to also do the same. Or bullseye. You're going to go after a specific property in your market that's sold with multiple offers on it. And now you know that there are other buyers with contracts in hand that want to purchase a home just like that one. And so maybe you're going to go after that type of demographic. Or middle of funnel. These are people that are typically ready to sell a house within the next 3 to 6 months. These could be absentee owners. These are people that own rental properties, second homes, vacation homes. Probate, people that have inherited a property that they want nothing to do with. A for rent by owner, somebody that has a rental property that is trying to find a tenant, but most of them, a lot of them, are in pain. They don't want to be a landlord. And so either A, you can help them find a better tenant, or B, help them just cash out, sell it. Or old expireds, people in the last, call it 3 to 5 years, that were on the market, home didn't sell for whatever reason, and now they're looking to re-enter the marketplace. Now, the last one is the bottom of funnel. So these are people that are, we call them hand raisers. These are people that want to sell their home right now, which is great. The downside of that, however, is all of the competition. Okay. So these are like early bird, cancel, withdrawn, expireds, expired listings themselves, or just for sale by owners, people trying to sell their home without an agent. So again, we want to have the contact distribution. We need 10 conversations as a result of this video. If you want to sell 15, you need 15. If you want to sell 20 houses, but you need 20 conversations a day. But the point is, when we look at contact distribution, when we're trying to solve who am I going to talk to every day so that I can reach my goal, we got to diversify these in all 3 parts of your funnel. Now, the next big question is, well, where do I find these people, Brandon? Great. I get comments every single day in the videos that I make just like this. Well, where am I going to find these people? Well, there are many, many companies that do this. I recommend that you use a company called Vulcan 7. I'll put a link to them in the description if you want to give them a shot. And they can give you all of the data that you need. Or you can go to a company like Mojo or RedX, MyLeads Plus, the Share Group. All of these types of companies will provide you with the data. And we're talking about, when I say free or almost free, I mean, the data here is probably between 10, 15, 18 cents per record. This is to get the property owner's name, the address, their contact information. I mean, it's extremely, extremely affordable. Okay. So now that we've figured out who am I going to talk to, how do I find their contact information? Now we've got to move on to the strategy. All right. So now let's solve the how. How are we going to contact these people? Well, there's 4 specific ways that you can contact these people. That doesn't cost you any money. The only thing it costs you is your time. So because the assumption here is that you're not putting money into lead generation, you're putting your time into lead generation so you can get a return on that time. Well, number 1, you can pick up the phone and call these people. We just talked about where to get the data. Now we know that it's about a 20% answer rate. So if you need 10 conversations per day, let's keep this really simple. That means you need to make 50 outbound dials. You need to call 50 people, 10 of them will answer. We know if you talk to 10 people, you're going to get one of them to be a lead. Next, you could go door knock. We know that on average, if you knock on 30 doors, 10 of those people will answer the door. You can have a conversation with 10 of the right people. We know 10 conversations with the right people equals one lead. Next, you can send people direct messages on Facebook or Instagram. We know that 20 direct messages equals 10 conversations. We know 10 conversations equals one lead. Or lastly, you can send them a text message. So 15 text messages on average gets you about 10 responses or 10 conversations. 10 conversations equals one lead. All right, so let's just recap what we've learned so far. When it comes to lead generation, we have answered the what question. The what strategy are we going to deploy in order to win the business that we need? This is going to be an unpaid outbound lead generation approach. Okay, we're getting data and we are proactively reaching out to our ideal client avatar, the right people, the right homeowners to get listings. We talked about who we're going to reach out to. We talked about people at the top of funnel. We talked about people at the middle of funnel. We talked about people at the bottom of the funnel. We talked about where you are going to get the data from. And we even talked about how you're going to contact these people. Now, through what we've talked about so far, you should be super crystal clear on, okay, I know how many people I have to talk to. I know who I need to talk to. I know how I'm going to talk to them. And so we know that that's going to get you your 10 conversations that you need per day, which is 50 per week, 200 per month, which is going to get you one new lead every single day or 20 new leads that you're going to put into your pipeline every single month. Now, my question before we go to the next step is how many leads are you getting right now? Are you generating at least one seller lead per day every single day right now? If the question is no, do exactly what we talked about. Because now the next thing we have to solve is this whole thing around consistency. How do I become consistent to reach out to the number of people I need to reach out to in order to have 10 conversations? The truth is this. Don't get mad. It's just the reality is that your success is simply a choice. You get to decide every day, how bad do you want this thing? And you get to decide, are you going to do the work necessary to generate 10 conversations a day? Yes or no? And so the answer is, how do I become more consistent? Well, I made this video right here that outlines exactly how you can cure yourself from procrastination and how you become so consistent that you never miss another day of lead generation again. You can click on the link to watch that right now.